That's the kind of music that I like, where it has like, I really hate it where people do songs and the title of the song has nothing to do with the song.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what the fuck? Like, why is it called Geronimo? And like, you're not explaining what the fuck Geronimo is. You know what I'm saying? Why is it
Right.
called, I don't fucking know, Pimp Juice? And you're not explaining to me what Pimp Juice is, like Nelly did. You know what I'm saying? Like,
what?
yeah, he has a song called Pimp Juice. Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
You should check it out. It's fire.
Okay.
But
okay.
yeah, so like, I think those things matter to me. I also think good music is like production, changes in arrangement, but that's just the artist in me that's talking too as well. So like, you have to take like what we're saying sort of with a grain of salt, because we're artists as well, talking about what we think good music is to us. Like this. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Face of Music podcast. I'm your host, Emanuel Brown, and
Sarey Savi.
Yeah, so we're back, season 2, as you know, here still in Fibonacci Studios.
But my hair color is different since the last episodes. I don't know what else. It's different. It's like teal is blue. You know, people have been complimenting my hair, talking about, ooh, it looks nice. It's not supposed to look like this. My roots came in. But they're like, oh, that's a trend. I don't follow trends.
Right. I didn't know we were here to talk about your hair.
It deserves its own episode, but whatever, fuck you. We can move on.
Yeah, anyways, so back with another one, right?
What the fuck do you want to talk about today? Please tell the people, what the fuck do you want to talk about? You're already irritating me because I was going to make the segment about my hair very short.
Anyways, we're here to talk about today on this episode, is it the music?
Is it?
Is it?
Is it the music? Because sometimes you could post whatever the fuck and it still won't hit.
So what do you think that's a fact. What do you think we should like expound on for people when we're saying, is it the music? Like, what does that mean?
Is it the music?
To you, and what should we share to the beautiful audience about that?
Right. What I think of when we're asking this question, is it the music? Because it's very general, is as an artist, right? When you are independent, because most of the time when you're independent, you're kind of, obviously you could be on your own. I feel like most independent artists are on their own. Maybe they have a small team. Maybe they have like a manager, whatever the fuck. But you have to be honest with yourself. And people around you need to be honest with you too about whether or not your music is actually good. I say that in quotation marks because music is just so fucking subjective.
Right.
So, I mean, I feel like if we're going to talk about, is it the music and whether your music is good, what makes music good? You know?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's so hard.
For sure. I mean, I think...
what makes music good to you?
That's a better question.
Yeah.
Like, that's a better question. Because I'm like...
Because you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck? What makes music good to me? One, it has to have messaging.
Okay.
For me.
Messaging as in?
Messaging, like, within the music. Like, there just can't be, like... I want to preface this, but, like, there's music for everyone. Everyone likes something a little different.
Yes.
Me, personally, I'm not a big fan of music where it's just, like, emptiness. Like, there's no, like, meaning to what you're saying. Like, if it's a party record, that's fine.
Okay.
Right? But I'm not always in a party mood, and, like, not everybody's life is a party.
You like music with substance.
Exactly. So, prime example, my favorite group of all time, know, is TLC. They're the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
They're the greatest R&B girl group of all time.
Yeah.
No debate. I don't want to hear anybody else debating it. Debate all you want in the comments in the chat. I'm going to disagree with you. It doesn't matter what you say. So, like, they have a song called Creep.
Love that song.
If you don't know that song, go check it out. Right? And I mean, there's substance in it, right?
Yeah.
And they're talking about they're creeping on the down low. Should they be doing that? Should they not be doing that? Like, that's the kind of music that I like, where it has like, I really hate it where people do songs and the title of the song has nothing to do with the song.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what the fuck? Like, why is it called Geronimo? And like, you're not explaining what the fuck Geronimo is. You know what I'm saying? Why is it called, I don't fucking know, pimp juice, and you're not explaining to me what pimp juice is, like Nelly did. You know what I'm saying? Like,
what?
Yeah, he has a song called Pimp Juice. Yeah,
that's crazy. I didn't know that.
You should check it out. It's fire.
Okay.
But
okay.
yeah, so like I think those things matter to me. I also think good music is like production, changes and arrangement, but that's just the artist in me that's talking too as well. So like you have to take like what we're saying sort of with a grain of salt, because we're artists as well, talking about what we think good music is to us.
Yeah.
On the broad scale, I think good music is something that everybody can relate to in some sort of way.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah,
you don't have to love Taylor Swift to relate to a Taylor Swift song.
Yes, that's a good point.
You don't have to love Kendrick Lamar to like a Kendrick Lamar song. You know what I'm saying? Like he has a song called All Right, which is like one of his biggest songs.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Great song.
Everybody who's heard that song can relate to that.
Yeah.
When you know we've been hurt, been down before. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's been hurt.
Be all right.
Yeah, everybody's been hurt. Everybody's been down before, so they know what it's like to say, I'm going to be all right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the type of shit to me.
That's real life shit.
Is good.
Yeah.
What about you?
I will, being that I have the perspective of like the singer aspect, the songwriter, the production, because a lot of you know I do make my own beats, and from a technical aspect too, engineer ears, I feel like what makes, to me, what good music is this very similar to what you said. I love songs that have relatable thematic elements. I think the best way, and when I write my own songs, I try to capture the listener with something extreme in the first couple of lines. You know? So like, I think what makes a really good song is the story, and also because we're biased, I think naturally, everyone's biased when they listen to music. You know, like I think for me, good music is something that sounds familiar to me, and that's just me being biased. So if I like,
that's a good point.
Yeah,
that sounds familiar, because I feel like people are always looking for familiarity.
Yeah, but it's weird because it's like people are always preaching in the comment section for like artists of different calibers. Like they want something different, and then you give them something different, and it's too different.
Well,
sometimes
I think that's where it comes back to like it's not familiar to them because it's so different,
it's
right?
So different, yeah.
And I mean, this is a great example. I know he's going to see this, but that's why I feel like King Dow may have some sort of a problem with trying to get people to convert to his music because it's so different.
It is. It's very different.
Right? It's not. There's no like when I hear him, I don't hear anything that's like familiar.
No.
To me, you know what I'm saying? So like, it's harder for people to come around to something like that if they've never heard it before. Like T-Pain, right? When T-Pain first came out with the auto-tune in hip hop, people were like, what the fuck is this? Blah, blah, blah. This ain't good. But they had never heard it before.
Right.
He was the first person to do it. And then when Kanye...
Cher was.
Well,
Cher was.
Technically, yeah. Cher was the first person to do it. But then when Kanye did it on 808 and Heartbreaks right after, and they were like, this is fucking genius.
Isn't it crazy?
Blah, blah. It's super crazy.
It's crazy. It's always... But, I mean, we'll get to that part here in a second, because I do want to finish a story. But also, like, I love ear candy. So I like beat switches. I like it when the artist does something in the music that feels unexpected, where there's like a beat drop or whatever. And I know you like to do that too, where you like drop instrumentation. And I love I love it when artists play with that dynamic of a song. And because I feel like a lot of music today, they don't really do that. I feel like a lot of music is lead vocal, maybe a couple harmonies here and there, and then the beat, but if they give you harmonies, they give you everything all at once, and I don't understand that. Because it's like if you're trying to tell a story, right, you don't give everything away in the beginning. So like it bothers me when artists, when they give all the harmonies in the first hook or whatever, because it doesn't build. There's no climatic moment. And for me, that's what makes good music. Also, like, if you're gonna sing or rap, can you please rap or sing on tempo? Like, this whole new trend about rapping off beat is driving me crazy. It's literally driving me so fucking nuts, because I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Why are people, like, if you got a beat, And you're like, it's hard for me to rap or sing offbeat from this, you know?
Yeah.
So, but it's so simple. It's just, I feel like, why is that a thing now? To me, that's not good music. But, I mean, to some people, maybe it is good music.
I also think, too, why we came up with this topic is it the music? Because I think a lot of artists, even us sometimes, forget that, like, we don't get to choose what people think is good.
Yeah.
They are the ones that have to choose us to be like, oh, they're fire.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then they'll go spread the word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like,
that's a really good point. It's really the people.
Yeah.
So you could record all the fuck you want. You could go from R&B to pop to doing house music to doing neo soul. It does not matter.
Yeah.
Because at the end, you're right, it is the people.
Yeah.
You know, that get to decide that. But I'm also wondering, like, it's just such an interesting topic to think about what consumers think good music is and how they determine if they hear something that's different, if it's good, if it doesn't sound like anything that's familiar.
Well, I also think, too, people and us as creatives, artists, too, right? Or, you know, anything that's entertainment, right? You have to go find the people who like what you do.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, not everybody's going to like Emanuel Brown. Everybody's going to like Sarey Savvy. Whatever, right? But the people that do are the ones that matter. And the reason we ask, is it the music, is because what if you're at the point in your career as an artist where, like, you're putting out music and you're not getting a reaction from anyone, right? And a lot of artists, and I think the real root of why we wanted to have this discussion.
Discussion.
Bitch.
Discussion. The fuck is a discussion?
Shut the fuck up. You're gonna do it too.
You told me to shut the fuck up. In this podcast, we literally have to talk.
That's true.
Like, make it make sense, you fucking piece of shit.
So I'm a piece of shit, man.
Yeah. You've always been a piece of shit. But anyway.
So I'm a full-grown man who's a big piece of shit.
Yeah. A big poop emoji.
Wow.
Period. No blood. But go ahead, continue.
Soft or hard poop.
Ooh.
Anyways, I digress. So,
firm on the outside, soft on the inside.
Anyways, so
Jason, everybody.
Yeah, Jason. Shout out to Jason. What the fuck was we saying?
You were talking about. We were talking about how the people get to determine how good the music is.
Oh yeah. And I was gonna say too, like, so like if you're putting something out as a new artist, right, and you're not getting any feedback, reaction, or anything, like, and like, let's say, because I know artists right now, I'm sure you do too, I'm sure Robert does, who runs the studio.
Shout out to Robert.
I know he definitely does.
Shout out to Robert.
Right, there's artists who will put out, because like now it's popular for artists to put out a song a week. A song every 2 weeks.
Crazy.
Right? Which is crazy.
That's crazy.
Hey, if you can do it, do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not doing that shit.
I ain't doing that shit.
If you put out a song a week, right? And like, let's say in 1 month you put out 4 songs, and none of them 4 songs get a reaction.
Yeah.
Or get any type of movement, right? Nobody talks about it. Nobody's streaming it. Nobody's telling you if they like it.
Yeah.
You have to say to yourself, maybe this isn't good enough.
There's 2 sides to that, though.
That's true.
If we're going to talk about if it's good music, you know, I think, how will people know if it's good music if you don't market it? If you don't push it?
Yeah. But you know what? That's a fact, too. But I'm also saying, like, even if, you know what, we'll get to that later.
Okay.
But just on the creative side, right? Putting it out. We're not talking about marketing yet, right? If you're putting out music and let's say you have 400 followers, right?
Yeah.
Or 400,000 followers, right?
Yeah.
If nobody's engaging with what you just put out, you have to start to, like, you have to let your ego go.
Yeah.
And you have to look at yourself and be like, okay, like, what's not working here? Maybe this isn't as good as I think it is, right? Because everybody, like, just wants shit to happen so quickly.
Right.
And that's not the case. Just because, like, maybe 10 people like it doesn't mean 10 million people will.
Exactly.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad music, but maybe it's just not good enough
to
get 10 million people to come over.
But I also think, like, what is your experience if you're putting out music and you're in the beginning of your career?
Is this a question or are you speaking?
It's like rhetorical.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you're in the beginning of your career and you're just now putting out music, right? And it's like your first month in, of course it's not going to be great. But I remember watching this video about this guy, and I don't remember what the name of the video is or the guy's name because I saw it years ago, but it's like, you know what good music sounds like inherently, because you listen to good music all the time. You listen to music that's made by professional people.
True.
So you know what it sounds like, but when you're creating your own music, like, you have that taste. You just gotta figure out how to fine tune it and get it to where it needs to be for it to be from your head to your ears. You know?
And I also want to give some grace to creators and artists out there too, because sometimes I don't think people who consume music, like as consumers, as people who are fans of music, they don't understand how hard it is to take something from your brain, put it on paper, then record it and have it still sound the same.
Or even songwriting is so vulnerable.
It is, yeah.
You know what I mean? You're basically asking. So, like, this is the thing that I feel like people don't understand about new music. Like, when fans are like, we want new music. I do this to him a lot. I troll him, though. If you haven't caught that, I troll him for new music. But the thing that people don't understand is, like, you're asking artists for new music, but what you're really asking for is, like, tell us, like, open up your world to us. Like, tell us about something that recently happened, or something that, you know, something traumatizing, something fun, something happy, something sad. And I think that takes a lot out of you. I think songwriting takes a lot out of your being, like, just emotionally, sometimes physically, mentally, because it's like, if you're sitting down, right, and you're writing about growing up in Newport News, or you're writing about, you know, someone who's passed away, you know, that's a lot to ask of somebody, to just, because you don't know, fans are not going to know what the new music is going to sound like or what you're going to talk about. They could have an idea, maybe, right? Like, they could follow a pattern of what you've released, but I think good music, I think music in general, the best music will always be the ones that are the most personal to me.
Robert, do you have anything you would like to input off camera? He's not listening. Never mind.
He's not listening.
It's
what
okay.
the fuck?
It's fine. We keep moving. Robert's here in the studio. He owns the studio. It's fine.
Robert, you have headphones on.
I know, I'm in like 3 different worlds. Okay, what's the question?
No.
He asked what the fuck the question is.
The question is, what was the question again? I forgot already. I have the memory of a fish, y'all.
Of a what?
Of a fish. Dory.
I'm fucking good. The question was, is it the music, right? If somebody's putting out music, right? Let's say they put out a song a week for a month. They get no reaction, right? What would you consider that to be? Would you consider that they need to go back to the drawing board? Go find more people? Like, do they need to, like, what do you think? Yeah. So if somebody's not seeing any traction, right, at all, we didn't get to the marketing part yet, but maybe you can be the segue to that, right? They're marketing their music well. They got dope videos, right? But people just ain't.
It's not resonating.
It's just not resonating with people. What would you tell an artist? Because we're saying, is it the music then? If it's not all those other things.
So one of the, I mean, we can all agree that Drake is like one of the biggest artists,
right?
Of the generation, right?
Yep.
The whole time. But like, one of the things that I noticed about Drake that he does is he is really good at writing captions, like in his lyrics. Like, all of his lyrics are quotable, very captionable, right? So like, really what he's doing is he's like giving the audience the opportunity to see themselves in his music. So it's more than just relatability. Like, people want to insert themselves into that world, and you know, like, sometimes if Drake doesn't, or not even just Drake, but everybody doesn't rap about shit they actually do, right?
Yeah, that's like 95% of people.
Especially Drake.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And really, it's for the audience to be able to see themselves in that light and have a soundtrack to their life at that moment.
Yeah.
So it's like, what I find a lot is I find a lot of really, really dope people that maybe even like, there's so many layers, right? You gotta, first off, sonically, it's gotta sound good.
Yep.
The production's gotta be interesting. Like, sonically, it has to sound good, which is why, you know, at the studio, I tell people, hey, if you're gonna go record demos at home, that's fine, but like retract them here in this space because it sounds infinitely better, and people are going to notice it, right? So there's an argument between like just release stuff, and don't focus on quality too much. That is true, but also don't neglect quality in terms so that you can just like a microwave just keep pumping stuff out.
Fast food.
Right? Yeah,
Fast food music.
Exactly. So there's so many different elements. I mean, there's the sonics, there's the is your audience actually able to see them, hear themselves and see themselves?
That's a big fact right there.
Yeah.
That's like probably the biggest one. Right? Like, are your lyrics quotable? Like, are people, or are they gonna listen to it and be like, oh, that was dope?
Yeah.
Or I've been through some shit like that. Yeah.
Right? There's so many different elements.
I love that.
Yeah. Sonically, it has to sound good. There's got to be quotables. And in today's age, like, I mean, the two biggest artists, or the two biggest upcoming artists in Seattle are Reed and Yanni, like Oble, Reed and Yanni. And the biggest thing that they have is very captivating fire visuals.
Yeah, their visuals are crazy.
Like, that is, their music already stands alone, but having those visuals is, you know, in today's day and age, is really going to separate like the good from like the one.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess to expound on that maybe just a little bit more, right? What if your visuals are fire and the music still ain't hit? Then what?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Think about all those different variables though.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So like if the visual is fire, if like, are your lyrics on point? Like, are those good enough? Are people
Well, now, that's what I'm saying. What if they aren't?
So that's where you gotta like you have to compartmentalize it and dissect every single element and figure out which one of your variables is broken, and you tweak that one variable until you get a reaction. The problem is also, it's not, there is a huge, like, luck is part of it too.
Big facts.
Right?
Yeah.
Timing, luck is everything. If you dropped a song yesterday when Taylor Swift dropped,
Yeah, you're stupid.
Drake dropped, and even Chris Brown dropped a diss toward Quavo.
Yeah,
I was like,
last night, yeah.
what is happening? Like,
Exactly.
even Chris Brown, like, people aren't really going to pay attention to that. Everybody's talking about Drake just dropping this new AI Snoop Dogg Tupac. Did you guys hear that?
I heard a little bit of it on the way here.
Wow.
But like, everybody's talking about the Kendrick J. Cole doing the apology. Like, what lane are you in? If you're in the hip hop lane, everybody's talking about that. And then Taylor Swift,
Yep.
friggin' largest artist
On Earth.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
just dropped a secret double album. Turns out that Tortured Poets Department is a double album. So she just dropped like 2 hours and like 10 minutes, 2 hours, 3 minutes.
Crazy.
Like, their timing is huge too.
Timing is
Right?
huge, yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. There's so many different variables that, like, the biggest thing though is consistency. That's the number one, and that's why Russ ended up, you know, that formula worked really well.
But
for Russ.
you know what? That's why he was the reason. He was the one that sparked this conversation in my mind. This topic is it the music, because he always says that it's like, okay, yeah, you dropped once a week for a whole year, and you're like, why isn't it working? Well, your music's not good enough.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it has to be like at some point, even if you have dope visuals, if you know when to drop, if you know, I don't know. I guess like at some point we don't choose if it's good.
Yeah.
They are making the decision to say to you, I like this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to ride with this. Like, I want to see you with a show. I want to blah, blah, blah. Right. So I guess like the whole purpose in my mind of this entire conversation was to let people know, like, no, one shoe does not fit all. Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of variables that change everything. But also, I think it's important for people to know, like, if you tried everything,
Mm-hmm.
and like, if you spent $10,000 on a music video, which I don't suggest, but if you do, especially if you're an upcoming artist, I don't suggest that right now. That's crazy as fuck.
It is.
But if you do that, right, dope ass video, production's fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got promotion clips, all this and that, and you're posting it, and people are just talking about how dope the video looks and not your music. That's an issue. Like, that's something you have to, like, being an artist is, I feel like, in my opinion, and then I'll shut up and I'll let you jump in.
No, that's fine.
I feel like is 50% knowing when to humble yourself and 50% knowing when to be like, I'm that nigga.
Mm-hmm.
I'm dope. I have to prove to the world that I'm dope. You know what I'm saying? And you have to know when to play each side.
Yeah.
There's going to be times you're going to be like, nah, this shit's dope.
Yeah.
But then there's going to be times you got to be like, this ain't good enough. You know what I'm saying? And you need to humble yourself because people are going to tell you if it's not good enough.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And if you're putting out a song a week for an entire year and nobody has said to you once, this is dope. It's the music.
Yeah.
It's garbage.
Yeah.
Fix it. Keep writing.
He's not wrong. But I also think even if you had good music, I don't think nothing prepares you for the industry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like there are so many great artists out there who make good music, but I think the industry is what burns them out, you know? And I like working with record labels has taught me that, you know? Like they don't do artist development like that no more. So I feel like that could contribute to is it the music, because I feel like if you're not constantly developing your sound and you're finding your niche and getting better, the 10,000 hour saying, right? Like then it could very much well be like you need more time. Yeah. A lot of people think they're ready because they hear things. I think that the issue is a lot of people think they're ready because they hear what's on the radio or they hear what's on Spotify on like New Music Friday and shit, and they try to replicate that and turn it into their own thing. Yeah. You know?
But you can't because there's already a Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that becomes very hard in every genre of music because really everything is just a derivative of someone else's work. Yeah. Like, of course, like you have ideas and whatever, but you know, like everything sounds similar. But you know, I also think like it's really your branding. You know? I really do think it's your branding that will help you stand out. Yeah. You have to know who you are.
I agree. I definitely still think at the root of it all,
I mean, yes, the music.
The music has to be good.
Yeah.
Like people can love you, but if they don't love your music, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But I also think that sometimes people just jump on what's popular too. Like I think like if there's a really popular artist, I think it doesn't matter where they're from. I think people just rally behind that until it's no longer popular. So it's like, is that good? Do they make good music, or is it just popular?
But again, if it was popularity does not always equal good, like you just said, right? So it's like, what's a prime example? 24 Karat Gold. Isn't that the dude's name? It was like some like rapper like a year or so ago named 24 Karat Gold.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
He went viral.
Yes.
On TikTok, right?
Always in the mood, around like a brand new. That song, right?
I think so. Yeah, sure. See, that's my point, right? It's like, what happened? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it the music? Like, if it's a viral moment, people want to be a part of virality. They want to try to replicate what's hot to try to get themselves in a position to be better. But at the end of the day, if the music isn't good,
Yes.
right, to the masses,
Yes.
then it doesn't matter if you go
Yes.
viral, because you're gonna go up and come right back down the same way.
Exactly. So
Right.
I think ultimately you just have to continue to own in on your craft. So
And that's what you said. I think we started this by saying like we were gonna talk about, is it the music? And times for us where we realized like
yeah.
our music wasn't good enough. So like when's the time
Yeah.
you realized like in your career, where it was like, damn, maybe my music ain't good enough right now. Maybe that's why I'm not getting the reaction I want to get.
Honestly, before I started working with labels.
Wow. That's
So
crazy.
when I was 23, it took until I was 23 to realize my music wasn't that good. Because I feel like when you work with people who work with artists who have that development already, like when you work with a multi-platinum producer who's worked with like Rihanna and like the top of the top, and they can give you that insight on what it takes to be good.
Right.
And I think when you know that kind of like, it's not blueprint, when you know and you can see that path of like, this is the path that a lot of artists take when they're doing the label route, I feel like, and you start to like, you have someone like that in your corner who can mentor you and do, help you figure that out. I feel like that's when I knew. It's like when I showed them the music, right? They've been doing this for years, like even before I was born. And they've worked with all sorts of artists, and they've transcended from the 90s up into today's music. So they know like what's coming in, and they know what's hot. They notice a trend. They notice a lot of different things outside of the analytical things. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like, what is happening with music, and then turning that into like, how can we make you fit within that? And I think that's what labels really do to people. So that's why working with a label, and I talked about this on Natalie's podcast I did with her. Shout out to Natalie.
206
that
podcast.
206 sound. Yeah. I think what I talked about is like, working with a label is hard because it's like they're trying to get you to be like the artist you want to be.
Right.
But then you realize like when you start to find your own identity, that's when it becomes a problem.
Right.
When you're working with labels. Because like, but wait, you said you wanted to be like this. You said you wanted your career to be like this person, and you wanted to sound like this. And that's when it becomes a problem. And that's what happened with me. Like I wanted to sound like, I wanted to be able to write popular music. Like, and I didn't know what that took until they basically forced me to be someone else. They're like, well, if you want to do this, then you need to look like this. You need to sound like this. You need to act like this. And then when I started to find my own identity, and I realized, wait, I actually don't want to sound like this person. You know what I mean? But they were giving me beats that were basically recycled from artists that rejected it.
Right.
I was getting rejection.
That's the standard, though.
That is the standard.
Yeah.
I was getting recycled music, but that is kind of what you have to go through when you're a newer artist at a label. Like you're going to get the leftovers of what the more popular artists on the label, rejected.
So how did you go from like knowing that that's when your music wasn't good enough to knowing that it is good enough now, where you're working like independently
My
by
songwriting.
yourself?
My songwriting.
Yeah, your songwriting's top tier.
Thank you. Thank you.
In my
so
mind,
much.
it's top. We talk about this all the time off camera, but I'm gonna say
We
it
do.
for the camera. This man's songwriting is top tier. Like
Thank
it's
you.
like crazy.
Thank you
to
so
me,
much.
for sure.
I think working with a label and just having them forcing me to consistently write all the time. And then I think the moment that I knew, right? Like the moment I knew I could do this independently without the label is when I realized it was my words that propelled the label to a different like stratosphere. Exactly. So like,
He owes me a lemon perfect.
I'm dead.
Friends of the podcast.
So like, because before I was at the label, right, they weren't really getting radio airplay. They weren't really charting. They weren't really doing all of those things, right? And then when I wrote games with them, that's when like things started shifting.
Right.
And then I was like, wait. Okay, yes, it was your production, yes. But it was really, what is your production without my experience?
Right.
And that's when I knew. I was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why I doubted myself.
Right.
But when was that for you? Like, when did you know, like, this is it right here?
I want to give 2 answers.
Okay.
Because I know there's a popular answer that
Okay.
people are expecting to hear from me. And then there's the other answer. So let's start with the popular one. I think the popular answer is when I put out my song Don't Stop. Right? Because it's so
good.
Thank you. But I feel like people relate to it and still do to this day because it's very effortless.
Justice
right?
for the remix.
I'm dead.
Because I'm on it.
The remix is fire. But I feel like it's just one of those songs where it's like I wasn't thinking too much. Like I just wrote.
I remember you saying that.
I just wrote. I didn't really like. I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna write whatever comes to my mind.
It's so good.
And I feel like sometimes that's what we do as artists is we're in our head too much.
Yeah.
About what we want to write, what we want to say. So that's a popular answer.
Okay.
So I think for me, before that, a lot of the music that I listen to, and even including your music, I'm going to give him his flowers on camera. Like, when I listen to your songwriting, when I listen to, like, some of King's songwriting and songs, like, I really love, like, Losing Focus. Or,
so good. That EP in general.
Yeah, it's super
the
good.
The Earth EP.
Super good. Or, like, Moselle or Keontae or... like, I even like Travis Thompson's music a lot. Like, or like, you know, even just like top tier artists like Victoria Monet or
so good.
Money Long, J. Cole, Kendrick. You can go on and on and on.
We can go, yeah.
Right? Any genre. I think one thing that I realized was that saying less still does more.
It does.
Right? So it's like, I don't have to always be like, let me show you I'm the best rapper.
Yeah.
Or I'm the best singer. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like, if they're fans of me already, they believe that already. Right? The point is to make it relatable, to make it something they can easily digest, as Robert said earlier, right? That's quotable, right? And you say more without saying too much. Like, it's like Nipsey Hussle, the rapper, rest in peace to him, I feel like he was really, really good at that. Like, he would just say so much without saying so many words, you know? And
that's an art.
It is.
It's an art.
And I mean, J. Cole does it very well. Kendrick Lamar does it very well, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, I feel like that's when I learned, I was like, oh, like, it's not really about like lyrical, miracle, spiritual, miracle, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit don't like that shit's cool, but like,
it doesn't always have to like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes the best thing you can do is just like scale it back a little bit. So that's when I realized for myself, like, oh, okay, like now I'm in my bag because I've learned, you know, at least I feel like I've learned how to do that now.
It's really what you say.
Exactly.
It's the impact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, I totally agree with everything that you said. I think, that was beautifully said, because I feel like a lot of music is just like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's almost like trying to act like, you know, cool shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool cat shit. But it's just like, no, I miss the music where it was like what you described of like, how about we just like, we say less and we just let the listeners kind of make up or, you know, create their own conclusion to things instead of giving all of that away.
Right.
You know? But anyway.
Yeah.
That was good. That was a really great conversation. That was deep.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate all angles. Shout out to Jason. Shout out to Robert. You guys won't see him, but you'll hear him. So shout out to him for
we'll probably put
a
picture up while he was talking.
Yeah. You're gonna have to send me a photo. Hey, I'm gonna need you to send me a photo of yourself so I can like put it on there. But I think this was a good one. And I think the biggest thing I want everybody to take away from this is like we're not sitting here trying to bash anybody on saying their music isn't good enough. I mean, maybe it isn't. But also too, it's like we're just telling you to like be real with yourself. Right? Like if you don't see things moving the way you want them to move, and you've marketed your music, right? through ads on Facebook or whatever, spent hundreds and thousands of dollars, because you're gonna have to do that. I'm telling you right now, you're gonna have to do that.
And if you don't, then what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, that, or if you're not doing, if you're doing shows and people just aren't moving to the music or whatever, or you just can't, like, if something's not working, go back to the drawing board, be honest with yourself, and work on your craft, and remember what you're here for, right? If you're here to just be a viral moment, go get your bag if you can get it, and then disappear. But if you're here to make timeless music, like myself, like this man right here, then know that it always comes back to the music first.
Yeah.
People got to fall in love with the music first,
and take
then
your time.
the person. Yeah.
Take your time. Like, don't let what you see on social media about other people releasing, or don't let any of that affect it, because there will always be a time for good music. Good quality music. There are people out there who are looking for that. They might be looking for you, but you got to work on yourself first. It's like falling in love. How are you going to love somebody else if you don't love yourself first? You know? That's why it's so important for you to work on yourself.
Yeah.
So work on yourself.
Yeah.
And then don't worry, the moment's coming.
Yeah.
You know? So thank you so much for tuning in with us for this episode. Really. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Face the Music Podcast. Again, we are your hosts. I'm Sarey Savi.
Emanuel Brown.
And don't forget, we drop every other Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We cannot wait to see you for the next episode in 2 weeks. Thank you for tuning in. Leave a comment below. Let us know if there's anything you'd like for us to talk about. Share this video with anybody else that you think could learn a thing or two from it. Like, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already.
Do that.
But mostly, thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much. And we will see you in 2 weeks.
Like this.